Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Sports Box, where the only opinion that matters is right here. I am Mike Galetta, aka Hammonton Mike, bringing you through another edition of the Sports Box, where I'll talk about the NFC draft and the grades that we give the different divisions. First off, I want to thank Chuck Donahue again from Southern High School coming down to help me out with the draft. Hopefully you watched my draft special because you got a good insight of what went on in the NFL draft, at least in the first round. But if you didn't watch our draft special, these are some of the highlights that you missed. That they're going to take the outside linebacker, Dante Fowler Jr. from Florida. I just think he's going to bring them that outside presence that they're looking for, a little outside rush. Speed guy, can get off the end really well, and had a bunch of sacks.
Third pick in the 2015 NFL Draft, the Jacksonville Jaguars select Dante Fowler Jr.
And I'm going to say I have Beasley there.
Okay.
The eighth pick in the 2015 NFL Draft, the Atlanta Falcons select Vic Beasley.
Wow.
Defensive end.
You mentioned him earlier, Dante Parker from Louisville.
Okay.
Falling there, and I think Miami, if he falls there, I think Miami has to make that
If
pick.
he does get there, it's a phenomenal pick.
In the 2015 NFL Draft, the Miami Dolphins select Devontae Parker.
Situation. But again, Chuck, what do I do when we need offense? I'm going D-tackle.
All right.
I'm going Arkeek Armstead out of Oregon. I hope I said that right, or is Arik?
Yep. Arik Armstead.
Arik, thank you, sir.
Yep.
Arik Armstead out of Oregon. I think you got to go defensive tackle with San Fran.
17th pick in the 2015 NFL Draft, the San Francisco 49ers select Arik Armstead, defensive end, Oregon.
Okay, I want to again thank Chuck Donahue for coming down for our draft special. We're going to hopefully have Jim Santora here next week or the following week to talk about some baseball, but I will keep you posted on that. But for now, let's get to the NFC and the grades of each divisions for the draft. We're going to start out with the NFC West, starting out with the Arizona Cardinals. I gave the Arizona Cardinals a B+. The DJ Humphries pickup, the offensive tackle, they did address some needs there. Pick from Florida. I thought was a good pick. Another standout pick for me was David Johnson, the running back from Northern Iowa. Short kid, scat back, kind of like a Darren Sproles type. I think that's something that Arizona is lacking as a running back. And J.J. Nelson, the wide receiver out of UAB. This kid, actually, the film that I saw him can get out of the roof. He's pretty tall. The only problem with him is he drops some balls in key situations. But you know, for a fifth-round pick, how could you go wrong there? Arizona gets a B+. The St. Louis Rams is still shaking my head on the Todd Gurley pick in the first round with running back. Not that it's a bad pick, but they do have Trey Mason, number one, and they do have some other needs there. So I don't know if Todd Gurley was the first pick in their draft. But in any sense, Rob Havenstein in the second round, offensive tackle from Wisconsin. Jamin Brown, offensive tackle from Louisville in the third round. Andrew Donnell from Iowa in the fourth round, and Cody Wickman in the sixth round, offensive guard from Fresno State. The nice thing I like about the Rams is they went offense this year. Build up that offensive line. They're going to have to get some protection for Nick Foles this year. I think they did the right thing, and in that sense, I gave the Rams a B in this year's draft. The San Francisco 49ers, interesting. Arik Armstead, first pick defensive tackle from Oregon. Like the pick, very good pick to start out with for the 49ers. A little bit shaky after that, going strong safety outside linebacker, but then I do like the pick of Blake Bell, tight end from Oklahoma. Big kid, can get out there, can block in blocking situations. I think that's a good pick for them. And Mike Davis, the running back out of South Carolina. This kid's got some speed and can turn the corner with the best of them. I think that's a good pick. With that, I gave San Francisco a B-. And last but not least, the Seattle Seahawks. Tyler Lockett, very good pick in the third round as a wide receiver, Kansas State. This kid can just tear it up. He's got some quick speed. I think it was a big sleeper for them at the wide receiver spot, which they can always use a wide receiver with that team. And another pick that stood out for me was Ty Smith, cornerback from Townsend. With the plethora of defensive backs that Seattle has right now, I do think that's a good pick for a little bit of depth. In that sense, the other picks didn't really enthuse me at all with Seattle, so I gave them a C+. Okay, moving on to the NFC North. We're going to start with the Chicago Bears. The Kevin White pick, great pick. Wide receiver out of West Virginia. Got some speed with the loss of Brandon Marshall. Definitely going to need somebody at that position. Eddie Goldman, the defensive tackle from Florida State, another good pick. Solid pick, defensive player. Get some push off the end for them. Jeremy Langford, the running back out of Michigan State, I think he was another sleeper running back. And for the film that I saw on the Michigan State running back, he does have some speed. Durability is an issue with him, and blocking patterns a little shaky with him. But all in all, I gave the Chicago Bears an A-, believe it or not, for the needs that they had. The Minnesota Vikings, Trey Waynes, what can you say? Great pick, cornerback, Michigan State. Can't go wrong with a cornerback. And the Vikings do need to go defense this year. T.J. Clemens, the offensive tackle out of Pittsburgh. I think it's a solid pick. Tyrus Thompson, offensive tackle out of Oklahoma. Another solid pick as well. Austin Shepard, offensive tackle from Alabama. Vikings did address offense. I think in one aspect they needed a little bit more defense, but you got Teddy Bridgewater back there. You need some line protection for him. Building for the future. I like it. I gave Minnesota B+. The Green Bay Packers. First pick, Demarius Randall, free safety out of Arizona State. Good pick, clean pick. The Packers have known for getting defensive backs all the time. So that's not a bad pick for them. Quentin Rollins, cornerback from Miami of Ohio. In my last sentence, just like I said, another defensive back. Brett Hundley, a little bit of a surprise in the 5th round for them as a quarterback, but I like the depth. Get him on a team, work him into the system. Not that he's taking over Aaron Rodgers' position anytime soon, but it's good to have a quarterback of that depth in your lineup. Obviously can't hurt you in the 5th round. It's not a bad call. With that, I gave the Green Bay Packers a B. And the Detroit Lions, I think, had to steal the draft with moving up to get Laken Thompson, offensive guard out of Duke. This kid's an absolute monster. And from what I've read and what I've seen on him, it's going to be a perfect fit for Detroit. They needed that offensive line help, and he's definitely the kind of person they can put in there, plug in right away, and he'll do some damage right away. Alex Carter, the cornerback out of Stanford, another good solid pick. Kid had 15 interceptions last year, which is phenomenal. A good come-up player that can stick. Only issues, gets beaten coverage a little bit in the way of gets defenders behind him just a little bit, but I think it's a good pick there. I like the pick for Detroit. All in all, I gave Detroit a pick. Let's go to the NFC South. The Atlanta Falcons with the Vic Beasley pick, the outside linebacker from Clemson. Good pick, solid pick. Vic Beasley was on the board. You had to go with him there. Jalen Collins, cornerback out of LSU, another solid pick. This kid can come up and just dismantle people. So I think that's a solid pick for Atlanta. And again, Atlanta, if you know in the future, definitely going defense as normal. Tevin Coleman, running back out of Indiana, another kid, scat back, solid player. Atlanta in the market for a running back. I don't know if he can exactly come in and step in, but in the 3rd round, he better be able to move up the ladder very quickly. And Jake Rogers, the offensive tackle from Eastern Washington. Good pick again for Atlanta. I think they should have went a little bit more offense, but in the same sense, I think Atlanta had a balanced draft. So I'm going to give Atlanta an A for for their needs. Let's go with Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Jameis Winston pick I am still out on. I still think they could have went towards Mariota, but Jameis Winston, pro-ready quarterback. We'll see if the off-field issues hurt him. The Donovan Smith pick, the 2nd pick, the offensive tackle from Penn State, I feel he would have been there in the 5th and 6th round, but in any sense, they took him 2nd. I wouldn't say a solid pick, but an okay pick. I do like the Ali Marpet pick from Hobart. Big kid, strong kid, offensive guard. Bucs need to start rebuilding that offensive line that allowed a lot of sacks last year. And Kwan Alexander, the outside linebacker from LSU, another linebacker the Buccaneers desperately need in the lineup. I gave the Buccaneers overall a B. I think they could have had a little bit more in the way of, at the end of the draft, picking a fullback out of Hawaii. Did they really need him? I don't know. They could have went a little more defense, but in all, I gave the Bucs a B. Let's go to the the New Orleans Saints. Andres Pete, offensive tackle out of Stanford. Good, solid pick for the Saints. Need to start rebuilding that offensive line. Even though Drew Brees, maybe 4 more years in the league, I think you'll start after rebuilding that for the up and coming year. Garrett Grayson, quarterback, Colorado State. I think it's a great pick. Again, will he step in now for Drew Brees? No, but I think he's an up-and-coming quarterback with some skill, good arm, that could step in down the road and could be that quarterback that they need. Tyler Davis, defensive tackle out of Fresno State, good, solid pick. Even though it's in the 5th round, might make the team, might not make the team. I think he's a good player, and I think it's a solid draft for the Saints overall. I think I gave him a B. And the Carolina Panthers. Carolina, only had 5 picks, but in the way of their picks, I don't think they did themselves any justice. The only pick I kind of like was Devin Funchess, wide receiver out of Michigan, and that was even a little iffy the way Michigan played this year. He's a good player, but Michigan didn't actually have a great year. Offensive linebacker, offensive guard, linebacker, or running back. I gave the Panthers a C- in their division. And let's go to the NFC East. I know everybody in my area around here in Philadelphia has been waiting for this. Let's go with the Dallas Cowboys. I like the Byron Jones pick. 27th overall. I think it was a solid pick. Damian Wilson, another good pick, linebacker that the Cowboys desperately needed. For the last 2 or 3 years, they needed a linebacker, and I think he fills the hole nicely. Mark Nocha, picked 236th overall. Here's a guy, another linebacker that, will he make the team? I think he will. I think he's a good fill-in linebacker that they have, and again, Dallas, I think, definitely needed somebody like that. Overall, I gave Dallas a B-. I think they did address some needs. They did. They went a lot of defense. They did get a tight end late in the way of Goff Swaim, picking him up real late, 246th overall, almost near Mr. Irrelevant. But overall, I gave the Cowboys, like I said, a B-. The Giants, Eric Flowers, great pick from Miami. You can't ask for more than that. I think it's a solid pick for the Giants, and you had to go that route. And a guy I had going in the first round, Landon Collins, dropped down to the second round, and they moved up to get him. I think it's another solid pick at the safety position. Giants basically, kind of jumped around a little bit, got another safety, got another wide receiver in Jeremy Davis, Bobby Hart offensive line to beef up the line a little bit. I gave the Giants a C+, only because I think they needed more line help in the way of the offensive line, and another linebacker would have did them justice, but I gave the Giants overall C. Philadelphia Eagles. I like the Aguilar pick, excuse me. Philadelphia, we're going to butcher that name this year. I like the pick wide receiver with the USC. Good pick, solid pick, and spread the field. Little issues of blocking and can he be yards after the catch kind of receiver? By all accounts, he's not. He's more a possession receiver and didn't get a lot of yards after the catch. But we will see. I think he'll fit into the system nicely. Definitely need a wide receiver in this offense, and there it is. The defensive back, Eric Rowe, another good solid pick. They needed a defensive back in this draft. Definitely got one that can step in there right now and play. Whether the level of the NFL he can play, we will see, but I think he can step in there. And Jordan Hicks, I like the linebacker. Another good pick they had in succession. So their first 3 rounds, I really liked them. Overall, I gave the Eagles a B-. I did like the Randall Evans pick. Later in the draft is another cornerback they desperately need. So, again, I gave the Eagles a B- in this draft. The Washington Redskins, the Brandon Scherff pick. Great pick. Kid's going to be a monster there. Can step right in today and play. Desperately need some help for RG3 to protect him if RG3 is even going to be there this year. The Jamison Crowder pick, wide receiver. Like the pick. Picked him 105th overall. I think this is a kid, another wide receiver that the Washington Redskins need. They have Deshaun Jackson. They are getting a little older otherwise on the outside. Need another wide receiver step in there. He's somebody who can do that. And Tevin Mitchell, very underrated cornerback, I think can step in there right now and play. Will he be a phenomenal defensive back? It's still to be determined. But I think he's the guy that can step in and fill some holes that Washington had. Did like Washington to pick up another another linebacker. I think they're a little short in that area, and another offensive lineman would have did them justice as well. But overall, I gave Washington a B-. So, in all, those are the picks I had for each of the divisions. Next show that we have out there, we're going to go over the AFC, and we are going to run a little contest here at the Sports Box. Anybody that writes in for questions, concerns, and again, I'm talking about the AFC now. We're gonna move in. And if you have any questions about the NFC, why I drafted who I gave grades to, and this and that, that's fine. The more times you write in, the more entries you have. Every time we read your question on one of my segments, you will get entered into a contest where you can receive 4 speedway passes to Cinnaminson Track in New Jersey. Okay, that's 4 raceway passes to the Cinnaminson Track in New Jersey. Every time you write into the show, we put your name in a hat. At the end of the third show next week, I believe next Thursday or Friday, we're going to do the drawing. We're going to draw one name out to receive 4 tickets to the Speedway Racetrack in Cinnaminson. That's a really good prize. Again, write in. Hopefully, go talk to Jim Santora, see if I can get him on next week or the week after. We'll get some baseball going for you. The next show, we will talk about the AFC grades, and then after that, we're going to talk about the schedules for each team and records for each team. So that should be really exciting. Another question we're going to bring up, and I want you to think about it right into me: is Brady to blame for the recent New England setbacks? Who knows? We'll see. The pretty boy, the golden boy, 4 Super Bowls. Let's see what you think out there. Tell me what you think about that. We're out of time here at the Sports Box. I want to thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. And if you haven't subscribed, why haven't you? Subscribe to the Sports Box. You can get all your new information, get all the new shows out there. Especially when I put one on there, you'll know right away. Okay? mgaletta@comcast.net. Write me. Let me know how I'm doing. It's good to see you, folks. Remember, the Sports Box, the only opinion that matters, is right here. Take care till next time. Thank you.